Hello everyone, my name is Emily Layton. I'm going to be walking you through some of my favorite tools and features of Affinity Designer that I use to make this figure. And it's not really an in-depth tutorial, it's more just to point out some things that I think everybody could use in their projects. So the first thing I'm going to show you, probably many of you already use, and that's power duplicating. And that's what I use to make this palette in the corner where all the rectangles are the same and evenly spaced. So to do that, I'm going to use the rectangle tool right here. I'm going to hold down shift so that it's constrained to a square with length and width the same size. And then I'm going to use the move tool, press Control J, and that'll duplicate the square. Then I'll press down shift and move the duplicate square, and holding down shift allows the two squares to be aligned automatically and constrains their movement. And then I'm going to press Control J again, and this duplicates it again, and it also applies the exact same transformation. And so this is how you can get the exact same square with the exact same spacing over and over and over again, like so. And this even applies if you scale the object bigger or smaller, or rotate it, or anything like that. The same transformation will apply. This next one is pretty handy as well, and that's going to be setting viewpoints. And so to access this feature, you're going to need to go to the Navigator panel and press Advanced. And then if you have a design element that you work with pretty often, for example, this mitochondria right here, let's say I'm always needing to make edits to it, I can press this settings here and press Add, and then I will rename it to mitochondria. And then I can be anywhere else in the figure. For example, looking at this bacteriophage, I can press the viewpoint mitochondria, and it'll immediately take me back to that exact same viewpoint that I had before. And you can set as many of these as you want. For example, if I want one for the Golgi body and the nucleus, nucleolus as well, I can easily navigate to different parts of the image. This next one is definitely the most fun one for me, and that is my DNA brush. So Affinity Designer gives you the option to create custom brushes, and so that's what I did in order to make a DNA helix that I can use throughout this figure. So you can see it in the nucleolus DNA here, where it's all squiggly. I also use the exact same thing to make these circular chromosomes in the mitochondria, and also these random bacterial chromosomes, as well as the DNA of this bacteriophage and of all the bacteriophages. So the way I did this is by creating a repeatable element of DNA, which I did up here in this artboard. And so to create a custom brush, you need to select the entire thing, export it as a PNG, and then in brushes, go up here and select new textured intensity brush, and this will create a brush for you, and there are a couple of settings that you can adjust. And then I'll show it to you in action really quickly. I will use the vector brush tool. I always turn stabilizer on just so that my lines are a little bit smoother, and basically this allows you just to draw DNA in whatever line and pattern that you want. And of course, since it is a vector, I can change the stroke width as much as I need to, and I can also adjust the nodes so that I can create the perfect curvature that I need for my design. Hands down, the most useful tool in Affinity Design for me is symbols. So symbols are basically objects that you create. For example, this bacteriophage that I have throughout the figure. You can create a symbol from them, and then anytime you use an instance of that symbol, all of the changes that you make to one of the instances will be synced across the rest of the instances. For example, if I wanted to turn this entire thing, this red, it'll take a little bit of time to load because I have so many phages throughout the image anyway, but you'll see that the change syncs to all of the phages. like so. And this is throughout the entire piece. Now, I use this all the time. So, for example, all of these little ribosomes that you see throughout, those are all symbols. So that if I, for example, want to change the shape of them, it'll change throughout. And then even as big as the cell itself is a symbol, which I then used multiple instances of to surround the original cell so that it's a cell sort of in context. And then the cool thing is that you might note that the interior of these cells are a little different. For example, this one has the Golgi body to the right side, whereas this cell has the Golgi body to the left side. And the way I was able to do that is by turning the sync feature off for a little bit, editing the symbol, and then turning it back on. And while the sync feature is off, you can make changes to any of the symbol instances individually. And then when you turn the sync feature back on, any future changes that you make will apply to all of the symbols themselves. So what's kind of cool is that I even use symbols to make these different zoom in panels right here. I made this main rectangle a symbol, which you can see in my symbols panel right there. And then I used each zoom in as a symbol instance. So for example, if I wanted to change the size and scaling of this, I can, and it's exactly the same as this figure below it. And so this way, if I want to make any changes, for example, to this mitochondria right here, and I want to change it and, make it bigger, for example, it will also be reflected in the zoom in panel. One of the big problems that I had with making this figure and having these different symbol instances is that they're all different, they're all scaled to different sizes. And so when I did that, the lines became really small in proportion to the figure. And so I thought that I was going to have to detach all of these and change the line weights for each part of the figure separately, which would be really difficult because, again, these are all scaled to different sizes. And so I would have to set different line weights for this part of the zoom in as I do this one. And then even within the figure, for example, the outline is a thicker line weight than the inside of the mitochondrial lining. And so all of that was going to be a bunch of work, and then it wouldn't sync anymore. But that's because I didn't know that there's this feature over here in the stroke panel called Scale to Object. And when you press that, it means that the line weights all scale to the size of the object so that they will maintain proportion no matter how big they get. Now that it's finished syncing the line weights, this is the final result.